Welcome back to another JOTO Show. I'm your host, Jay Lakers and Tony Bologna.
Hey everyone, this is episode 14 of the JOTO Show. We've made it to December.
Hope everybody had
It's
a
crazy.
great Thanksgiving if you guys are watching it in America.
Or if you just celebrate it in general, too.
Yeah. It's almost and then we're in the month of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot to go for this week to now to
Yeah.
Christmas. Hey. You already said the episode 6, 14? Wow. Why is it
Yep.
16? Wow.
Hmm.
What's going on in the sports world?
We usually start with football, but it's usually the NFL. Let's start with college football this week, actually.
Yep, it's the conference championship games.
Yep.
I'm
Regular
not.
season is over.
Yep, my team didn't make a bowl game this year.
Mm-hmm. We'll actually go through that right now. College football conference championship games. There is a total of, I believe, 7?
I forget.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Here's one of them.
Wow, I'm way off. There's 9. Yeah, we're going in order of when they will be on. Starting on Friday. All times are going to be Eastern that I mentioned here. We have Western Kentucky versus Jacksonville State for the CUSA Championship. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we'll have the Mountain West Championship between UNLV and Boise State. That'll be at 8 p.m. on Fox, actually. So you can catch that there if you have Fox. Then we have the AAC Championship between Tulane and Army. Both teams actually ranked last time we checked in on college football rankings. Tulane recently fell off, but Army's still
UC
there.
Bearcats used to be in this conference
Mm,
before they went to the Big 12.
yeah. This game will be at 8 p.m. as well, but on ABC. And then we move on to Saturday, where,
Speaking of Big 12,
speaking of Big 12, uh, it's Iowa State versus Arizona State.
this
This will
is a
be around noon.
this is the first year Arizona State is in the Big 12. This is the first year.
And they're
They,
already in the championship.
they came from the Pac-12. 14 from the Pac-12 came to the Big 12, and 4 teams went to the Big East. No, the Big East, sorry. Big 10, my bad. And there's only 2 teams in the Pac-12. They don't call themselves Pac-12 anymore. I don't think.
Yep.
There's
Uh,
only 2 teams left. It's
I
kind of
think
crazy.
they're still considered the Pac-12, but there are only 2 teams left. Yeah.
Yeah. 4 went to the Big
Yeah.
10 and 4 went to the Big 12.
hmm Yeah, that game will be around noon on ABC. And then we have the MAC Championship, Ohio versus Miami, Ohio.
Wow, a battle of the Highos.
Battle of Ohio in one way. This one's also at noon, but it's going to be on ESPN.
1946 when the conference started, it looks like.
Yep. Then we have our probably biggest matchup of these championships. It is the SEC Championship between Georgia and Texas. Both teams here are ranked
First
and
year
pretty.
of Texas and the SEC. They were in the Big 12 last year.
Mm.
They're new this year for the Big SEC.
And just like Arizona State, they're already in the championship game.
Yeah, they were in the championship game when they were in Big 12, I think.
Yeah, but their first year on a new
Yeah,
conference, they're in
conference,
their
yeah.
conference's championship. Yeah. Both teams here projected to potentially make the college football playoffs. We'll talk more about that next week when we have our full rankings and everything. But both of these teams are looking to make a spot. This game, 4 p.m. on ABC, Saturday. Mark your calendars. And then we have the Sun Belt Championship between Marshall and Louisiana. This game will be at 7:30 p.m.
Marshall.
on ESPN.
What's that team called?
Marshall, Herd, and Louisiana.
Louisiana,
the Raging Cajuns.
and they have a pepper in their logo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, never heard of these two teams before.
That's Sunbelt. Sunbelt's kind of it's a big conference actually.
Yeah, I never heard of this conference either.
It's got a lot of the hot places in the southeast, I think. South
This
mainly.
I've like been here this conference before. I'm surprised
Yeah,
High
we know
State
this
didn't.
one.
I'm surprised High State didn't make it in this year. No conference championship. They
Yeah,
had a chance.
they did, but they blew their own chance. They had a win and they were in, but they lost, and Penn State just needed a win on the final week. Penn State won that game. They're in.
Mm, that's
Ohio
the
State out.
that's the number one team in the country, Oregon
Currently, yep. Both teams more than likely making the
playoffs.
whole college football playoffs. So yeah, this game, 8 p.m. on CBS. And then also at 8 p.m., this one's on ABC. It's the ACC Championship, which is between Clemson and SMU.
First year, they went to the American Conference to the ACC Conference. SMU. I remember that. They used to play for the
That's
American Conference.
mm,
Another
that's
team in the new conference made the championship game.
yeah, that's the third one. Arizona State, Texas, and now SMU.
Yeah, no, that's kind of crazy.
Realignment is crazy.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Moving
fair.
on now, we have the NBA Cup. The first games of the NBA Cup have finished, all four for each team. Here are your standings. As you can see,
Oh yeah, the West
the
and the
trophy.
East. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, West and East. As you can see, the trophy means they won their own different group.
They have five
The
in
star,
their groups.
yep. The
Interesting.
star means they're the wild card, and then the X just means they're out. So there's 3 winners of groups and 1 wild card. As you can see, just take a look for yourselves. But we will mention them now even more in a second. With the bracket, this is how it's going to look. We have the Thunder hosting the Mavericks. And then you have the Warriors heading over to Houston to take on the Rockets.
The Warriors are your
That's the
team.
West. Yeah, Warriors are my team. For those who
I
don't
don't.
know about the NBA stuff.
I don't have an NBA team.
He doesn't have anyone near him. His name Jay Lakers would make you think he is a Laker fan.
Used to be.
He used to be. Just hasn't
I
gotten
know
to
we have
changing
a
that name.
comment. I know we have a team in Ohio. I'm not. I don't watch them too much.
It's the Cavaliers. They're actually doing pretty good this season. They just didn't make it here because that is the Bucks hosting the Magic, that top right one in the East, and then it's the Hawks heading over to New York. All these games will be between Tuesday the 10th and Wednesday the 11th for the first round, and then Saturday we'll have our semifinals in Vegas, and then the championship will be Tuesday, December 17th.
In Vegas.
So, in Vegas as well. So that'll be next week because it is the 4th. So we are 6 days away from quarterfinal action, and then 4 more days after that. So that's 10 for Saturday's semifinal action, and then 3 more days after that to get to Tuesday.
Thanksgiving game. Thanksgiving
Let's finally
games
talk about football.
and Black Friday. We have 4 more weeks left, I think.
Yes, 5 actually. This
5.
week, this coming week plus the remaining weeks adds up to 5.
All home teams won on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
On Thanksgiving.
As you can see, all home teams won. Let's start with the first game that happened, which was in the morning. This was actually a crazy game. I was watching all of these live because I had nothing to do Thanksgiving until it was time to
I
eat,
was
and we
watching
were all
some of
watching
the.
football anyways.
I was watching some of these too.
Yeah. Let's start with the Chicago Bears heading over to Detroit. Lions winning 23-20. This was closer than expected, and it could have gone either way. It could have gone to overtime. But one mistake by both head coach Matt Eberflus, former head coach. He has been fired from after this game. And Caleb Williams is not thinking for himself either about this. There is 30 seconds left on the clock. Caleb takes a sack. They're still kind of in field goal range, maybe one more play to get properly there. They still have a timeout. With 30 seconds left, they don't call it. So for that whole 30 seconds after he gets sacked, he gets up, they snap the ball, and he throw the ball, and incomplete. Time expires. Lions win. If you just call a timeout, you get like 2 or 3 more plays with 30 seconds. You can go incomplete, incomplete, pass, out of bounds, field goal. To force overtime, at least. But no. They were on a run, though. 13 straight points in the fourth to nearly come back. Just wasn't enough to beat the Lions. Stats here. Caleb Williams, 256 yards, 20 for 39, 3 touchdowns. So he had a pretty good throwing game. As for Jared Goff, he had 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21 for 34. Head-to-head stat-wise, I'll take Caleb's more yardage, 1 more touchdown. But obviously, quarterbacks aren't the whole story. Moving on now, we had the New York Giants head over to Dallas, losing this one 27-20. This game, like the other game, 1-score game, and the losing team was on a run in the fourth. Giants had a 10-0 run in the fourth.
You just know
Cowboys didn't score.
Cowboys has been at almost every Thanksgiving games almost.
It's honestly tradition for the Lions and Cowboys to play Thanksgiving games.
Yeah,
I don't remember a time where they haven't played
I
a
know.
Thanksgiving game.
I remember Bengals played one year. They lost it.
I think the Cowboys are forced to play Thanksgiving games actually. Like
Yeah,
it's basically a mandatory rule. Them and the
yeah,
Lions.
yeah.
Especially since the Lions are doing much better now, they're gonna want the Lions to be playing. Cowboys got a good win. Giants are just looking to get a top pick. They're really low. We'll get to the full standings later. Looking at these stats, we had a great matchup between backup quarterbacks. Cooper Rush versus Drew Lock. Let's start with Drew Lock. Why is he playing and not Tommy Cutlets? Well, obviously we know Danny Dimes got cut last time we checked in. So we're thinking, where's Tommy DeVito? The guy got injured, so Drew Lock, former third stringer, then was moved to second stringer and eventually started this game. He came in and he didn't have a bad game. He led his team in rushing as well, despite being the quarterback. Scoring 1 rushing touchdown, 57 yards on 4 carries. But besides that, he had 178 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick, 21 for 32. For the Cowboys, 195 yards from Cooper Rush, 1 touchdown, no pick, 21 for 36. Main player from this game actually was Rico Dowdle, who had 112 rushing yards on 22 carries. He also caught the ball 3 times for 11 more yards, added up 123 total yards, and a touchdown. Moving on now, we had the Green Bay Packers host the Miami Dolphins, winning 30-17. Pretty good game for the Pack. They were up 24-3 at halftime. The Dolphins kind of answered with 8 in the third and then 6 in the fourth, while the Packers only mustered up 2 field goals. But that 24-3 halftime lead proved to be all you needed. This was Tua versus Jordan Love. Let's look at these stats real quick between the two. Tua statistically had the better game as a quarterback, 365 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 37 for 46. While Jordan Love had 274 passing yards, he also had 2 touchdowns, 21 for 28. Tua his leading receiver, you would think, Tyreek Hill's there, Jalen Waddle's there, hell, even Devon Achane can catch the ball. It was none of them. It was actually Jonnu Smith who had 113 yards on 10 catches. He didn't score a touchdown. The main guys scoring his touchdowns were Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane, both receiving. But the run game was non-existent. Their two-headed monster of Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane combined for 33 rushing yards. That's it. To put that in perspective, Josh Jacobs, the running back for the Packers, had 43. He had 10 more rushing yards by himself and a rushing touchdown than the Miami Dolphins rushing attack. Hell, you can even add Tua's rushing yards, which was only 6, and it still would be 4 short of Jacobs' rushing game, which wasn't even a good one. 43 rushing yards total. 19 carries. But we must move on to Black Friday, where we had a close one. A really close one. A 2-point game to be exact, between the Chiefs and Raiders.
3. Oh, I meant 2.
Yeah, Chiefs, Raiders. Chiefs hosting them. 19-17 final score here. This was a pretty good game for the Raiders, despite losing. It was kind of a win-win. Because they lose so they can get a better chance at a higher pick, because they need it. But they kept it close to scare the Chiefs a bit. And this was actually an insane game. I was watching this, obviously, Black Friday. I wasn't doing much. I didn't really shop. Did not want to. It was scary. Especially here. It gets horrible here. But yeah. Let's look at these stats. First of all, it was 10-3 at halftime with a Chiefs advantage. Chiefs end with 3 field goals in the second half while the Raiders scored 2 touchdowns. But how did we get here? Aiden O'Connell, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 for 35. Pretty good game, pretty solid. Then you compare that to Mahomes, who had 306 yards, 1 touchdown, 26 for 46. If we're just looking stats and not score, give me Aiden O'Connell's stats so far from just this game. Especially if you're going to have a guy like Brock Bowers. He had 10 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. Trey Tucker also had 1 catch that went 50 yards for a touchdown. Jacoby Myers was almost at 100. That's your Raiders team. While the Chiefs, their receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, 90 yards, Travis Kelce, 68, and their 1 touchdown scorer was Justin Watson with 1 catch for 6 yards. Running game for the Raiders had a pretty good rushing game, 100 total yards, 100 plus total yards by all the running backs and all of them. Sincere McCormick, new signed guy, had a pretty damn good game. 64 yards, 12 carries. Amir Abdullah backed him up with 39 yards, 10 carries. Amir Abdullah, heading into this game, was running back 1. The game prior, he was running back 3. Madison, hurt. Zamir White, hurt. Amir Abdullah steps up, does a decent job, 39 rushing yards. He caught the ball a couple times too. Wow, Sincere actually caught it a couple times as well. But yeah, basically I'm saying a lot of rushing yards for a team that's not good with rushing the ball. Now we get into our primetime games and our teams. So let's start with Sunday Night Football, where I hate to talk about this game. It was the Buffalo Bills hosting the San Francisco 49ers, winning 35-10. The Niners were down 21-3 at halftime. Mustered up 1 touchdown in the third, never scored again, while the Bills scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. Brock Purdy had a stinker of a game. 11 for 18, no touchdowns, no picks. He only had 94 passing yards.
Jeez.
And to make it worse, we'll talk about it in a second, actually. Let's talk about Josh Allen before we do that. 148 yards, 2 touchdowns thrown, 13 for 17. Which means 2 touchdowns thrown There was 3 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, Ray Davis, and Josh Allen himself all had a rushing touchdown for the Bills. James Cook had 107 rushing yards as well. So this was not a passing game. Obviously, you can tell from the photo, it was snowing. Hella snowing.
Yeah.
Before the game, there was like 6 inches of snow almost.
Wow.
They had to clean it up and all of that. But now it's time for the bad news for Niners. Both running backs, Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason, suffered injuries and are on the injury reserve list, which means a minimum of 4 games gone. With only 5 games left, that basically means they're out for the season. So running back 1 and 2 out for the season. And you are currently not doing well record-wise. Again, we'll get to more of that later. But yeah, not good.
Mhm.
It's a bad year. Let's move on to Monday night, where we had the Broncos host the Browns, winning 41-32. This game was
Very
a good
close.
watch. This game was a good watch, I'll tell you what. I enjoyed watching this game. NFL, I love entertaining games. You know why? I love when a quarterback throws for 497 yards and still loses. Jameis Winston, 497 yards, 34 for 58, 4 touchdowns, but 3 picks. Lost to Bo Nix, who had 294 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 18 for 35. So with a score like this, how does he only have 1 touchdown? Well, do the math. That's 7 points, plus 2 rushing touchdowns from Javonte Williams and Michael Burton. That's 21 points. Then there was 2 field goals as well for the Broncos. That is 27. So then there's 2 more touchdowns. Well, I mentioned Jameis Winston, 3 interceptions, 2 of them pick sixes. But I gotta talk about these receivers, man. Marvin Mims Jr., Cortland Sutton combined for 207 receiving yards. Mims 3 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Cortland Sutton 102 yards on 6 catches. This was a great receiving game for them, but not as great as Jerry Jeudy, former Bronco. This was meant to be his revenge game. And boy, if they won this game, it really would have been solidified. Great one. They didn't win it, but it was still a pretty good one. 235 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, 9 receptions. He had an average of 26 yards per catch. Not to mention David Njoku, their tight end, 52 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He was a big reason why they were still in this game. But Elijah Moore, I like to mention as well, 111 yards. Both teams had 2 receivers with 100 plus receiving yards. Someone check how long or how many times that's happened.
Hmm.
Probably not often. And then moving on, we have a game that this guy's got to talk about.
Don't want to talk about either.
Too bad.
It was a close game, Waze.
Yeah.
Bengals was at home. That's the Steelers. Steelers won at 44-38. And it was a back and forth game. Then the Steelers took it over.
Wilson of the Russell, the Danger Russ. He had 414 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 29 for 38. Joe Burrow had almost the same stats, except less yards. 309 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 28 for 38, and 1 less completion.
Yeah. My girlfriend said Bengals are on wheels. They lost.
Yep.
Just a Steelers fan.
Oh man, that means you gotta go head to head twice a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving
But we
on.
must move on.
Excuse me.
Okay. Let's move on to our Sunday afternoon games. Sorry. Starting off with Texans Jaguars. Texans narrowly winning this one 23-20. Scoreless first quarter. Halftime 6-3 Texans. Then it was 16-6, 10-point game. And the Jaguars, they were coming back. They scored 2 touchdowns on the fourth. Texans scored 1. Even to add up the scores, that's 23-20, like the score said. CJ Stroud versus Mac Jones. You might think Mac Jones. Wasn't Trevor Lawrence playing? We'll get to that in a second. Start with CJ. 242 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 22 for 34. As for Mac Jones, he had 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 20 for 32. And then we also had Trevor Lawrence go 4 for 10 for 41 yards, 1 interception, no picks. So he was playing, but why didn't he finish the game? Azeez Al-Shaair, Texans defender, went for a tackle on a sliding Trevor Lawrence, but he didn't go for any normal tackle. He went head first went into Trevor Lawrence's head, and it was a big hit.
I saw the
Dude was
I saw
knocked out
I saw the
for a minute.
highlights.
Yeah, he was knocked out. There was a whole fight about it.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. I was like,
So
holy
yeah,
crap.
crazy that happened. What sucks the most about it is that Trevor Lawrence is now out for the season because of it.
Their season's over anyway, so
Their season is over anyways, but yeah, no Trevor Lawrence to finish off the season. Looking statistically at players other than quarterbacks, Joe Mixon is having a great year still with the Texans, 101 yards, 1 touchdown on 20 carries. As for receivers, Nico Collins was the guy, 119. We can say 120 basically, just round it up. As for the Jags, their main guy was actually Parker Washington, 103 yards and a touchdown on 6 catches. Moving on now, we had the Colts at the Patriots, narrowly winning this one, 25-24. Let's quickly run down these scores here. It was 7-6 Colts at the end of the first. Then it was 14-16 for the Patriots advantage at halftime. Colts score a field goal to take a 1-point lead at the end of the third. And then in the fourth, both teams had pretty good drives, scoring a touchdown with the extra point being a 2-point conversion, including the game-winning one by Anthony Richardson. Speaking of the guy, he had a pretty good game. 109 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 12 for 24, so 50%. He also ran for 48 yards on 9 different carries, including a touchdown. While for the Patriots, Drake May is still pretty good for a rookie. 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 24 for 30. Antonio Gibson was your one guy with a rushing touchdown. And your main receiver was Hunter Henry, but the guy who got the touchdown was Austin Hooper. So it's the big guys that are getting the ball in New England. And moving on, you had a very low scoring game between the Chargers and the Falcons. 17-13 was your final score here. Not a single point in the fourth quarter. It was 3-7 Falcons. Then it was 9-7 Chargers at halftime. Then 17-13 at the end of the third. Stats-wise, Justin Herbert, 147 yards, 16 for 23, no passing touchdowns, no interceptions either. Hell, the the Chargers didn't score a single touchdown at all offensively. As for the Falcons fans, look away from the stat line from your quarterback, Kirk Cousins. 245 yards. That's fine. 24 for 39. That's fine. 0 touchdowns. Probably a big reason. But the biggest reason of why you guys didn't win this game. 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions thrown. Two of them to Tarheeb Still, who had a pick six, actually. That was the Chargers' one touchdown, and it was defensive. The run game was kind of whatever, except for Bijan, who had 102 yards and one touchdown, 26 carries. And then the receiving group, Ray McLeod was your leading receiver with 95 yards. That's for the Falcons. That's for the Chargers. Your main guy was Ladd McConkey, the only guy, it seems. Ladd McConkey, 117 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns, or, 9 receptions. 9 touchdowns is crazy.
Wow, 9 touchdowns already? Wow.
That'd be funny. All right. But yeah, 9 receptions. Your second leader was Quentin Johnston, who had 12 yards, which is a little over a tenth of what Ladd had. Then it goes 11, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, and then that's it. A bunch of single digit yardage, and then Ladd McConkey. And moving on, we had the Seattle Seahawks beat the New York Jets in a close game, 26-21. The Seahawks were trailing 16-21 at halftime, and then they scored 10 in the fourth quarter. Jets 14-0 to start the game in the first quarter. I believe Seahawks fumbled a kickoff and recovered by the Jets. And then they proceed to fumble it again, and they were stuck at the 1 yard line, or they were stuck inside the 5. But here's the crazy part: Geno Smith only threw 1 touchdown. Zach Charbonnet only had 1 rushing touchdown, but there was 3, including 2 2-point conversions, I believe, on a couple of them. Or let me actually double check. Not just say stuff. Never mind. They failed one of them and then went for a field goal on the other one. But let's look at the full stats. 206 yards, 20 for 31, 1 touchdown, no picks for Geno. Aaron Rodgers, 185, 2 touchdowns, 21 for 38, 9, and 1 pick. And you want to know who that interception was to? Former New York Jet and New York Giant, actually, Leonard Williams, who had an interception, and it was actually a pick 6. The guy is almost 300 pounds, at least based off his last weight check. So we like to call it a pick 6. He went, I believe, almost, it says it right here, actually. 92 yards he traveled after picking off Aaron Rodgers to score the pick 6. Outside of those main guys I mentioned, quarterbacks, and then obviously, Leonard Williams, not much has happened. Your leading receiver and or rusher only had 74 yards. That was Jackson Smith and Jigba for the Seahawks. While for the Jets, their main guy was 66 yards, which was Devontae Adams, who had one of the receiving touchdowns. And then finally, to finish off this page, we have the Washington Commanders absolutely destroying the Tennessee Titans. I would just like to mention one thing. If the Commanders just took their first quarter score and put it against the whole Titans score, they still would have won the game. They had 21 points in the first quarter. Nearly 28. They had the ball at the end of the first. And then in the second, they both traded touchdowns, 7-28. Halftime, Tennessee, 6 points in the third. Another 6 points to make it 19 at the fourth. And then the Commanders scored 14 points, aka 2 touchdowns in the fourth as well to make it 42. Absolute destruction from Jaden Daniels and co. He had 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 25 for 30. Really good percentage on that throwing. Only 5 incompletions. They also had a rushing touchdown from Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Jaden Daniels himself. So 6 total touchdowns. 2 of them went to Terry McLaurin, by the way. As for the Titans, Will Levis, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. 18 for 37, no picks. No rushing touchdowns. His main guy was Nick Westbrook Akine, who had 2 out of the 2 touchdowns. 61 yards on 3 catches. And moving on now, we had the Minnesota Vikings host the Arizona Cardinals, win this one by 1 point, 23-22. Cardinals had a lead, 3-3 at the end of the first, 9-6 at the end of the half. Then it was 19-13, 6-point game, heading into the fourth. They put up a field goal, pretty good. It's a 9-point game. But the Vikings scored 10 points to take a 1-point victory. Kyler Murray, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. One of them, I believe, was the pick to end the game. He went 31-45 as well in that. Sam Darnold, 21-31. 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Justin Jefferson, no touchdowns, but he had almost 100 yards, 99 to be exact, on 7 receptions. Then moving on, we had the LA Rams head over to New Orleans and win this one by a touchdown, 21-14. Despite the score looking like it was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown versus touchdown, touchdown, it was actually field goal for the Saints at halftime. It was 6-0 halftime. Then it was 7-6 with a touchdown by the Rams at the end of the third. Saints score a touchdown with a 2-point conversion, but the Rams had already basically scored their 14. Stafford, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 for 24. Kyron Williams, 104 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. That's your 21 right there. Derek Carr, 1 touchdown thrown, 184 yards, 24 for 37. Alvin Kamara, 23 carries, and he had 112 yards. Besides those guys that I mentioned, no one really surpassed 60 yards in any category, whether that be receiving or rushing. Then, in our penultimate game, we had a overtime thriller between the Buccaneers and the Panthers, where the Bucs came out on top, but it was really close. Taking a look, how did it go? It was 7-3 Bucs lead at the first quarter, 10-13 Panthers lead at the end of the half. Then Panthers add to that lead, making it 16-10. They muster up a touchdown to get it to 23. But the Bucs went on a 13-point fourth quarter run to make it 23-23 to force overtime. And in overtime, the Bucs, the chance to win the game, they don't do anything. They started with the ball. They kicked the field goal, and they missed. He misses. Great field position for Carolina. They have a chance to win this game. So what do? They go down the field, get in field goal range, and Chuba Hubbard fumbles the ball. After an amazing catch, Chuba Hubbard fumbles the ball, and then the Bucs recover it. And the Bucs go down the field to then redeem themselves and make their field goal, win the game 26-23. Looking at the stats here, Baker Mayfield, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 21 for 33. As for Bryce Young, 298 yards, that's about 300. 1 touchdown, 26 for 46. You know who had a great game? Bucky Irving, 25 carries, 152 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Mike Evans also pretty good, 118 yards receiving and a touchdown. While the Panthers' main guy, Adam Thielen, who had 8 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown. And then moving on to our final game of Sunday afternoon, we had the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Baltimore Ravens 24-19. 5-point game here. Let's look how it happened. Ravens, 3 field goals in the first quarter. To make it 9-0. Actually, no, they didn't have 3 field goals. What am I talking about? I'm doing my math right now. Oh, okay. Now I know. Sorry. When it's 9-0, you would think it's
Wow.
3 field. Listen. When it's 9-0, you think 3 field goals. You don't think touchdown, missed extra point, field goal. So yeah, that's what happened. Touchdown, missed extra point. So then you get a field goal to make it 9-0. Eagles score 14 in the second quarter to make it 14-12, with the Ravens scoring another field goal. Then nothing in the third, so it stays 14-12. Ravens put up a touchdown, but the Eagles put up 10 points to make it 24-19. Justin Tucker is not the same. The man went 2 for 4 in this game. 50%. He doesn't go 50% in a game like this. He usually hits at least 3 if he's attempting 5. If he's attempting 5, he actually usually hits 4. But he attempted 4 and made 2. But let's not talk about Tucker. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 11 for 19. He also ran for 29 yards and a touchdown. As for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 23 for 36. He also has 79 rushing yards. All this rushing talk, and we're not even talking about the 2 guys that were the headlines of this game, actually. The 2 running backs. The guy that's on that photo right there, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry. Saquon, 23 carries, 107 rushing yards, and a touchdown. If you want to look at receiving as well, he also had 10 more yards receiving on 2 catches. Add that up to 117. As for Derrick Henry, he had 19 carries, 82 yards, no touchdowns. So not as good as Saquon, and it showed with the final score being 24-19. Finally, we can move on to our Week 13 standings, where nothing has changed, just the number for their record. We have in the East, or in the NFC East, Philly, 10-2. West, Seahawks, 7-5. North, Lions, 11-1. South, Falcons, 6-6. In the AFC East, Bills, 10-2. They've already clinched their division. West, Chiefs, 11-1. They've clinched a playoff spot. Somehow have not clinched the division because the Chargers are actually close. We'll get more to that in the next slide. North, Steelers, 9-3. South, Texans, 8-5. But here's how everything looks for the whole thing. Let's look at the AFC first, since it's on the left. Miami, 5-7. New York, 3-9. New England, 3-10. In the north of the AFC, 9-3 Steelers, 8-5 Ravens, so they're still a game and a half behind. Cincinnati, 4-8. Cleveland, 3-9. AFC South, Colts, 6-7. Tennessee, 3-9. Jags, 2-10. Their season's already over. They're at 2 wins. And in the West, KC, 11-1. Chargers, 8-4. Denver, 8-5. Raiders, 2-10.
Raiders are out in 2.
Yep, and there's one more team that's only got 2 wins, and we'll get to them right now. In the NFC East, Commanders are 8-5. Dallas is 5-7, and the Giants of New York are 2-10. Their season is over. As for the NFC North, it's still anyone's except for the Bears. 11-2 or 11-1, 10-2,
The Bears,
9-3.
yeah.
Bears are 4-8 though.
Yeah.
They've been struggling. Maybe a new coach will change that because, like I mentioned earlier, Matt Eberflus fired. Then in the South, you have a tie between these two, but Atlanta still has a tiebreaker, so that's why Tampa Bay is in second at 6-6. Saints somehow still have a chance to win their division, despite having a 7-game losing streak. They're 4-8. And the Panthers are 3-9, with also somehow a chance to win their division. So 1 through 4 have a chance to win their division. The same goes for the NFC West, where the Cardinals are 6-6. Same goes for the Rams, and the Niners are only 5-7. They're only 2 games behind the Seahawks. So technically they can, but at the same time I feel like they're already out because they don't have a running back. Both of them are injured and out for the season.
Wow.
So here's our playoff picture. If the season were to have ended after this week, Chiefs, Lions stay at the top seed for respective conferences. Bills, Steelers, Texans is your 2 through 4 for the AFC. Eagles, Seahawks, Falcons is your 2 through 4 for the NFC. Your 5 seed through 7 seed looks like this. For the AFC, we have the Chargers, Ravens, and the Broncos. And then for the NFC is the Vikings, Packers, and Commanders. And then still in the hunt, Colts, Dolphins, Bengals. Bengals still have a chance to make this.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow. In the NFC,
We have
Bucks,
4
Cardinals, Rams, and
teams.
Niners.
We have 4
Yeah.
teams.
All 4 of these teams can somehow still win their division.
Bengals can't win the division.
Yeah, no. Steelers are up a little too much. They haven't clinched it because the Ravens are right behind them. But they're up too much to the point where the Bengals cannot climb enough. And
Yeah.
here's our standings. We tied this week, despite having a few different picks.
What's our 4 losses?
My 4 Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I have it right
Mine's
here.
just
Actually,
Cincinnati. I know that.
yeah. My 4 were Niners, Ravens, Saints, and Cardinals. At least I believe the Saints.
Mine was the
Yeah.
Bengals, Kansas City, and I predicted that too.
Yeah, you went. Okay, yours were. I remember Miami, Raiders. Both those guys lost. Bengals, obviously, you put them. And,
The Chiefs.
well, the Raiders played the Chiefs, so. You put, I think.
Yeah, I lost the Chiefs game.
Yeah. Dolphins, Chiefs,
Bengals.
Bengals, and then you. Why can't I remember? Oh, I think you might have put Atlanta.
And then our total wins and losses.
I still got a lead. Obviously, we tied, and I had the lead last week. So
Not that
I'm
far
only up.
away.
Yeah, I'm only up 9 games. Quick math.
9 games. Can I
9
check?
game difference.
Don't forget on our YouTube channel, you still can vote.
You still vote on that poll? Anyone's game here.
Yep. I didn't end the poll at all on there, so it's still live.
Yep.
Our week 14 buys.
Week 14. Here's our buys. We had the Ravens, Patriots, Broncos, and Colts. Those guys are on a bye this week.
Yep.
We won't be seeing them next week in our totals or in our games.
That NFL week 14 picks. Me and Tony. Those are my first. Let's start with mine. Detroit Lions, Tennessee, Miami, Minnesota, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Buffalo, Chicago, Chargers, and the Bengals. Then we go to Tony's.
Let me see. Yeah, I got pretty much the same exact thing as you, except for San Francisco and Kansas City. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Detroit, Tennessee, Miami, Minnesota, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Buffalo.
Dude,
and then I got
everything is same except them two teams. Wow.
except for Niners and Sunday night.
Yeah, that's kind of
Then I
crazy.
got Cincinnati as well for Monday.
That's crazy.
So there won't be too much of a jump. Obviously, if I get my 2 wrong, that would be a positive of 2 for you
Well, but I got
versus
all
me.
my right, and you got
And then
only.
I would have 2 wrong.
Yeah, that'd be something. That
That
can
would be something.
we have not had that happen yet.
But yeah, either way, unless
We
it's
have not
Sunday
had
night or the Niner game,
we have not had perfect quicker.
we were very close a couple of times.
Yeah, last week we lost 4 games because there was no bye weeks for any teams.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, if the two teams of his team, 2 of them, and I won, that'd be how many games?
I don't even know.
8, 9, 10. Hold on. 13. If I win all 13 games, that would be a miracle.
Mm,
Then plus 2 games, at 13 out of the 2 games. Yeah, that'd be that would be something.
yeah. Thanks for watching, y'all. This was a bit of a longer than last episode, but not too long like many previous episodes.
We will get more long ones in the future. More stuff starts
Especially,
when the next year
yeah,
comes, like when baseball season starts up again and everything else.
when hockey gets interesting, when the All-Star game for NBA starts.
And
Hell, Super Bowl,
the college playoffs
March
for
Madness.
March Madness and everything. There's a lot of things we can
We have a
do.
lot of things. Every week we'll always probably have something to talk. Just no football after February, sadly. But we'll still have other things to talk about. But yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. I lost my train of thought for a second. That's funny.
I hate that
Editor
happen.
Tony.
I hate that
Editor
happen.
Tony. Yeah.
I hate that happen sometimes.
I was about to say something. I totally forgot. But yeah, Editor Tony, hit the outro music. J Lakers, hit him with the outro.
Yeah, I hate that when it happens. You lose the thought. Don't forget to subscribe, like, button, notification bell on this channel, Instagram, and X, and join our Discord. Don't forget to vote in our YouTube channel, the community tab. It's so tight right. I have not checked it, and last time I checked it was so tight. I have not checked it last. Then what else? Don't forget to subscribe to all 3 of my channels. Right now, I'm focused on my second channel, my main and third channel. It's been a long time I've been posting up. I'm going to focus on my second channel. Don't forget to subscribe to Tony's Bowling, all 3 channels, especially his main channel. When he just, you already know he's moving from the last episode. If you guys didn't see it, guys. So we'll do more music when the time comes, and that's it. All our social media, everything will be down in the description. I'll see you guys on next time. Bye.